But last school year, my students were my foundation. So many times, on so many levels, and in so many little ways that they don't even probably remember what they did. But they're why, and that's why I couldn't be more proud and committed to this field. Hello, I've been sitting here racking my brain because just like Mr. Villaraigosa said, I've been thinking, oh my God, my speech doesn't talk about how I became a teacher or why I became a teacher, and I forgot to mention the teachers that helped me, and I was colleagues with Mr. Solis for 10 years, and he was one of the teachers that helped me. I coached freshman basketball under him, and he was an amazing teacher. I knew nothing about basketball, and he taught me how to coach it, and I still carry around my little Bible too because of him. And Miss Lopez's daughter Bryn changed my life this past 2 years. She was one of my cheerleaders at Clint, and she was just she was so spoiled by me. But Bryn is just one of those kids that, like, you could have the crappiest day and you see Bryn and you're like, oh, I'm good, you know, I'm good, I'm okay. And my daughter asked me just a couple of days ago, Mom, is Bryn gonna be there this year? And I was like, no, she's not. And I've never known Clint without Bryn. And so this year's gonna be my first year at Clint without Bryn, and that's a big thing if you ever get to meet Bryn. But you know, if you have siblings or cousins, you always had that one kid that you sent to go ask mom to do something because you know your mom was always going to say yes to them. That was Bryn for me and the cheerleaders. Okay, so with the cheerleaders, I'm always like, no, you can't perform, you don't have your bow, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, make sure you do. And so they started sending Bryn, hey, go ask coach if we could do this. I'm like, okay, Bryn, we'll do it. You know, so she was that to me. And so my speech is not on my phone, where I had it. Just 1 second. Okay, so my speech, I want to apologize to my district colleagues that are here today because yesterday we had our convocation at Clint, and we are given the honor of speaking at convocation. And it's nerve-wracking, but to be able to contribute to the start of teachers' school years, the entire district is just an opportunity you can't pass up. So I'm gonna read the same speech because it's more not about how I became a teacher, because there was no way that I ever thought that I would be a teacher. I thought I was going to go into law or politics. And when I was in law school, I was working for a law firm, and I hated it like crying on my way to work every day, hated it. And so when I moved back, I started substituting, and that's when I knew, like, hey, like Doctor said, somebody's gonna pay me to talk about what I like, and I was always in trouble in school for talking. This is it, you know. And so I'm just gonna go over why I love this profession, even though I never imagined that this was the profession for me. So I will be starting my 16th year of teaching. I'm a government and economics teacher. I'm the AVID coordinator at Clint High School and the cheer coach at the school that renewed my love for education, and a district that gives me the freedom and encouragement to be the best version of me as a teacher at Clint High School and Clint ISD. I'm so excited to be starting this year because last school year was difficult for me and my family, and I feel as though I've been given a clean slate to start over this year. I don't regret any part of last school year because it really opened my eyes as to why I love the profession that we are a part of. So let me explain. On November 16, 2017, I had surgery to remove a lipoma on the upper left side of my back that had been there for a few years. It was gross and annoying, and you could see it from my profile view, and I joke because I used to call it quasi. On December 6, 2017, during my 6th period, my doctor called to tell me that my lipoma was actually a sarcoma and that I had cancer. I left my classroom. Darn, I wasn't going to cry today. Okay, I left my classroom and immediately called my wife, who was in the middle of her own class and is a colleague of Mr. Solis's, bawling my eyes out. My wife, who is my rock and my foundation, helped me to breathe again and guided me on just going through to the next few minutes, getting through the next few minutes. My wife's advice to me at that time was to go see my AP, Miss Lara. She's told me she'll help you, babe, she'll take care of you. So I went to my AP and she did just that. She hugged me, she let me cry. She told me she was gonna get me a sub for the rest of the day. And that she would let Mr. Ritchie and Miss Henches, my other admin, know, and that she would be praying for me and my family. I went back to class and I called out my cheer captain, who happened to be in my 6th period. She didn't cry. She went straight to work to help me. She got all my things together. She said, "Don't worry, coach, I'll tell the sub what we've been doing in class and they'll know what to do for the remaining part, for your remaining classes." One of the hardest things about cancer is telling people that you have it. So I didn't tell very many people last year. I did tell 2 of my closest friends, and I could not have gotten through the rest of the school year without them. See, on December 6th was Wednesday, and by Monday I was in so many doctor's appointments, up to 4 on some days. Some appointments were 45 minutes, others could last over 4 hours, and I never knew how it would land. I wasn't sure if I should call in a half day, all day, or if I would even make it back in time for my conference period. It was a guessing game that I never won. On December 26th, the same day that Miss Kate, our public relations officer, held our first meeting for the district's Teachers of the Year, I left her meeting and went to my first radiation treatment. I had radiation for 5 days a week for 6 weeks. And during those 6 weeks, it seems like doctors were nonstop, and that my family was solely responsible for keeping the medical industry in business. My daughter, my oldest daughter, was hospitalized on March 7th after she had been called into the ER for her asthma so severe that she had been taken to the ER for her asthma that was so severe she was getting 0 oxygen to her lungs. The next day, on March 8th, I was scheduled to have my second outpatient surgery to remove 14 additional lipomas that were scattered around my body, all of which came out benign. The same day of my surgery, I left the hospital, went home, ate, and then was taken, against the advice of my doctor, to the children's hospital to be with my daughter. She was in the hospital for 3 more days. Finally, on April 6th, I finished my radiation treatments, and through all the chaos, my administration was so patient and encouraging. I can't explain or tell you how many times my principal told me not to worry, not to stress. I felt like I was the worst teacher last year, and that was the year they voted me Teacher of the Year. And that he just needed me to get better. He wanted me to get better. My friends Jessica and Danielle delivered countless lesson plans, dealt with so many questions in my absence, and went to events with my cheer squad and my AVID students that I couldn't attend. But my students were my biggest surprise and supporters of all. I had students that would message me to see how I was, to see what they could do to help me with work. I had other students that would put activities together, and then I would just show up to stuff that they had already planned and organized. And I had others that would try to encourage me to go vegan for my health and would bring me healthy alternatives. Some were okay. And my cheer squad were my biggest support team, and I just could never imagine how much support they would give me. All I could think of, though, all year long was how I was supposed to be the one taking care of my kids, and how I was supposed to take care of them and support and be their foundation. But last school year, my students were my foundation. So many times, on so many levels, and in so many little ways that they don't even probably remember what they did. But they're why, and that's why I couldn't be more proud and committed to this field. Education is a family. I didn't get the whole thing. It pulls people up to the next level. When you can't get there by yourself, it takes care of the whole person. It gives and it takes, but when it gives a lot. I am proud to be part of a system that includes all people, that denies no one, and that actually goes out and searches for students to help and to educate. A system that tailors programs to each student, because it is what every child is guaranteed and has a fundamental right to. When our system is compared to other countries as inferior, it infuriates me. I know in my gut that our education system, the system that we dedicate our lives to, the system that I have entrusted my children to, our system that works and fights for all students, our system that continually reinvents itself for the betterment of society, this is our system, and it is inferior to none. This is not saying that our system is without flaws, but the other beauty of our system is that it consistently reevaluates itself and repairs itself. As educators, we must build and pull each other up on a daily basis, because as educators, sometimes we are the only hope many of our students have, and we cannot build them up if we don't build each other up. We are the foundation that our community is built on. We mold and create our doctors and lawyers and engineers, artists and activists, and especially future educators. We do not educate for the glory. We do it because it is the core of who we are. It is a passion in the pit of our stomachs, a belief in the depths of our hearts. And we need to remind ourselves of this even when it seems like the tide has turned against us. We couldn't be part of a better field. I couldn't be part of a better community or a better district. I know I was lucky in so many ways. I had a non-aggressive cancer. I have an amazing and supportive family, and I am part of a campus and a district that will not let me falter. Excuse me. I am part of a district and a career that cares deeply about us. I want to thank you all. I want to wish everybody good luck on their incoming school year. I want to remind everybody to count your blessings, to be a blessing to others, and to let others be a blessing to you in your time of need. Thank you.